Unit 5, Section 5, listing factors and GCF. So list all the factors of the following numbers. Listing the factors means, hey, what can I multiply to make that number? Well, anytime you do these, first thing you want to do is always list the easiest one to see, which is 1 times 6, because 1 times 6 does equal 6. What else can I multiply to get 6? Well, I can also do a negative 1 and a negative 6. Those also give me positive 6.
I'm so sorry to bother you. Did you ask me?
Then we also have to think about, hey, what else can I multiply to make 6? Yes, 2 times 3. And then I could do negative 2 and negative 3. When we're listing the factors, we've got to think of the positive and the negative versions of each. Here we're looking at negative 8. So here I could have a positive 1 times a negative 8. Or I could have a negative 1 times a positive 8. I could have a positive 2 times a negative 4. Or a negative 2 times a positive 4. Getting to a larger number now, we have a positive 24. So again, we can have 1 and 24 and negative 1 and negative 24. Those both give us positive 24. I could have 2 times 12 or negative 2 times a negative 12. I could have 3 times 8 or a negative 3 and a negative 8. Those also give me positive 24. I could have 4 times 6 and then negative 4 times negative 6 as well. In example 4, we have to get negative 32. So I can have a negative 1 and a positive 32. I could have a positive 1 and a negative 32. I could have positive 2, negative 2 and a positive 16, or a positive 2 and a negative 16. I could have a negative 4 and a positive 8, or a positive 4 and a negative 8. And there's all the factors of 32. Now we have some nice handy-dandy technology that can help us out with some of these things, because sometimes it gets difficult making sure we get all the factors. So here we're going to use a calculator. It says calculators can help. Hey, look at that. Isn't that nice? Calculators can help. They tell us if we get us a little calculator and where the y equals is, we take what our number is, divide it by x, and then hit second table. That will help us see what we need. So here I have my calculator. I'm going to turn it on. My y equals, I have things in y equals, so I'm going to clear each of those out and make sure there's nothing there. It says to take my number. In this case, it is 60. I push in 60, divided by x. X is right here next to the alpha key. And I'm going to do second and hit the graph button because right above it says table. Okay. Here. So I have 1 and 60. All right, so we have 1 and 60. 1, 60. I have 2 and 30. 3, 20. 4, 15. 5, 12, 6, 10. If I move down a little bit, up, I start repeating when I get here to 10. So therefore, that's the last one of those. Now that I need to do my negative versions of them, so I just put negative 1 and negative 60, negative 2 and negative 30, negative 3, negative 20, negative 4, negative 15, negative 5, negative 12, and negative 6, negative 10. And there's our factors of 60. Looking at example 6 over here, I have negative 84. So I'm going to go back into my y equals. Instead of 60, I'm going to put negative 84 divided by x. Second graph. That's my table. Going back here to 0. So I have 1 and negative 84. I have 2 and negative 42. I have 3 and negative 28. I have 4 and negative 21. 5 is not a perfect factor. 6 is. 6 and negative 14. And we go down a little further here. 7 and negative 12. And then I keep going down until I find my next one that is, which in this case would be 12. That's back where we started. So here I'm going to put the opposites of them. So I'm going to put negative 1 and positive 84, negative 2 and positive 42, negative 3 and 28, negative 4, 21, negative 6, 14, and negative 7 and positive 12. And there are our factors of negative 84. In this section, we're also going to be using our factors. The reason we're finding the factors, we're going to be using them to help us find the GCF, also known as the greatest common factor. To find the greatest common factor for all terms, the first term cannot be negative, and we must be able to divide each term by that GCF. So looking at our first one we have right here, we have 30x plus 9. So I look and see, what can I divide 30 by and 9 by? I can't take anything with my x's because there's only x in the first term. Well, I can divide 9 by 1, but 1 doesn't help me any. I can divide it by 3. 3 does go into 30 and 9 both. And I can divide 9 by 9, but 9 does not go into 30, so my GCF would be 3. So I divide each of these things by 3. This 3 is going to come chilling out front. I'm now going to say, what's 30 divided by 3? Oh, that's 10, with the x still hanging on. Plus, 9 divided by 3 is 3. And we have now taken out the GCF. Looking at example 8. I say, what can I divide both of these things by evenly? I can take a 5 out of each of them, but I can also take an x out. So I'm going to take out a 5x out of each of these. So 5x comes out front. 15 divided by 5 leaves 3. And here I have x squared divided by x. So if I have 2 of them and I take one away, I'm left with just x. Plus 20 divided by 5 is 4, and I took my x out, so there would be my final answer. You can always go back and check these by redistributing. If you redistribute and you get a different answer than what you started with, something has gone wrong somewhere. Looking at example 9, I have 2x squared and 18x. So I say, what can I divide both of these by? I can divide them both by 2, and I got an x in both of them, so I can take an x out of each of them. So here my 2x comes out front. 2x squared divided by x, that's going to leave me only with an x left. So 2 comes out and one of the x's comes out. Minus 18 divided by 2 is 9, and I took my x, put it out front, so there would be our final answer for this one. And now for number 10, I look at it and say, hey, what can I divide both of these by? Well, I can take a 10 out of both of them. I need to take a negative 10 out of both of them because I need to make sure that that first term becomes positive. So my negative 10 comes out front. Negative 10 divided by negative 10 leaves a positive 1x, or just x. 20 divided by negative 10 is a negative 2, which is a minus 2. And at this point, we would be done. And again, you could go through and redistribute and make sure you have the correct answer. Listing the factors of numbers and finding the GCF.